Today's Saturday. I'm here with my puppy, my little baby. I love him so much. He's like so sweet. He's just like my little therapy dog. He goes with me everywhere. So I wanted to talk a little bit about what it was like for me to grow up and know that something wasn't right with me, and just kind of coming to terms with how my childhood experiences kind of shaped my brain illness and possibly made it worse. So I was adopted by the bourgeois family when I was, I want to say 10, but it might have been, 9, 10, something like that. And I remember them asking me if I wanted to live with them, to be adopted. And I was like, well, I guess. It was so weird. I was like, well, yeah, I mean, where else would I go? Sure. And I think that it was really hard for my mother because she wanted a daughter that she could teach to sew and cook and, just kind of be a girl. She is a Northern Italian woman, and this is what women do. The environment that I came from, and just me being who I am, I was like, oh my God, no, that sounds like the most horrible, boring thing. And I wanted to do what my brothers were doing. I wanted to ride the BMX bikes and ride skateboards and go outside and play and do outside chores in the yard or in the garage. And I think after a while, my mom just sort of gave up hope and just kind of detached herself, which I understand. I was a quirky kid. Yeah, I always had some kind of like Tourette tics where I was, walking around strange, or opening my mouth weird. It was constantly something just bizarre. And I don't think they knew what to do with me. They punished me, and it was always like a punishment thing. If you do this, you're not allowed to go outside. I don't think that positive reinforcement was like invented yet in any kind of psychology book or anything that my family would have read. It was very strange, and I always felt more comfortable going over to my friend's house. Her name was Melania, and her house was so amazing and cool. They were Mexican, and it was just a very loving, open house. And I remember Melania's dad's telling me "weather," which is like, blondie or, kind of light-skinned girl. When you come to this house, you speak only Spanish. And I was like, okay. So I would go in their house, and Spanish was, it was all I heard. And I ended up learning Spanish, not even really realizing it. So that was my home, and I was always really sad to go back to the bourgeois house because it was very different. It was very strict. It was very, I just wasn't allowed or encouraged to be myself. It was quite the opposite. I was made to feel really bad about not being who they wanted me to be. And I think things really came to a head, when I was 14, and my adopted dad, Bob Bourgeois, took me to the beach, Coronado Island. And up until that point, we did a lot of fun things together, and I was really happy to spend time with him. He would take me out on his motorcycle, and he would always read to me and, kind of have me out in the garage. And I loved fiddling with all the car stuff and the tools and everything. So it was a lot of fun being with him, and I definitely connected with him more than my mom. That all came crashing down when I was 14 at the beach alone with my dad, and he told me he was sexually attracted to me, and my fucking whole world like shattered. I didn't even know what to do with this information. I just I kind of shut down. It was really terrible. And, I think that my brothers watched what my dad did, and they started behaving in ways that were really inappropriate. There was a lot of sexual harassment in my home by my family. I mean, you hear about sexual harassment in the workplace and maybe at school, but in your own family, it's like I didn't have anywhere to go. Who was I going to tell? My father was a police officer, I couldn't even, there was nothing I could do. So I was stuck in a home where there was this totally inappropriate speaking going on around me, and it was really bizarre, and I didn't like it, and I'm still recovering from it. It's very hard. It's very challenging for me. I think that made my brain illness a lot worse. I just started trying to make myself feel better. I would do drugs. I would run away, anything to not have to be there. And I remember confronting my father about it when I was 28, and he just looked at me with this snarky face and said to me, "You mean to tell me that was the reason you were running away?" I'll always remember it. And I've never gotten an apology, certainly not a sincere one. I don't think I ever will. It's ridiculous. So you know what? Everybody out there who's had to experience this, definitely, if you're not safe in your home, try to tell someone at school. That's something that I wish I would have done. I really thought that I was trapped. He was a police officer. He did and said what he wanted, and that was it. It feels good to share it. I wanted to share it at a time where I wasn't angry or crying, and it's taken me a lot to process it. So yeah, that's kind of it for today. I'm having a really good Saturday, and I'm healing. The healing process has started at 49. I'm happy that it's starting now, because by the age of 50, I want to be able to put this not even behind me or forget about it. I just want it to be able to be there without me having like a disgusting like emotional or physical reaction thinking about it. So emotionally, I feel okay talking about it right now. Physically, but it's a process, and I'll talk about this more later. I don't know what the consequences are going to be for them, but for me, I'm choosing to take care of myself and get my brain healthy through dialectical behavioral therapy, which I love. I'm so happy I'm able to do this. I have great therapists, and yeah, it's okay to have a brain illness. Sometimes we're born with it. Sometimes it's triggered by things that happen in our life, and it's okay to get help, and it will get better. I definitely feel better, and love to everyone who's watching. Take care of yourself.